You're here to talk about the same issue. I don't know if you have a spokesperson or not, but just a second, please. Okay. Yeah, but you can go first.
Okay.
This is the citizens' portion comments of the agenda. We always have this and welcome it. And Mr. McShirley, looks like you're up first.
Thank you. I was here in January, and you suggested that I lobby the governor and the legislature for change to increase the safety standards regarding water safety. And what happened after that, Mayor and council members, is a lot of folks locally got a hold of me. They have common interest in concerns about leachate and the effect on both health issues, our economy, and other things that bother them. And we've all gotten together informally and somewhat formally and scheduled this meeting tonight to hope to persuade some of you that dumping leachate is not in the best interest of our community. And I thought if I went first, perhaps I could seek some facts so everybody's on the same page, because there is some misinformation about how much leachate has been dumped, where it's coming from, how many gallons a day are currently being dumped. And as you may know, you probably know, I submitted an open records request a few months ago, got some records, getting some more Wednesday to update me on things. So my discovery of records indicates that this started in November of 19 and is currently ongoing. It was brought to you, I believe, by Watco. It's the company that hauls the leachate, and Watco is owned by, I believe, Shane Weddle and Martin Allen. Don't know that relationship. But since November of 19, I was going through the records, and there's been about 48 million gallons of leachate, 48,371,533 gallons of leachate put into the wastewater treatment facility. Now, that was effective as of January 31st. Since then, I've heard, I have no direct material, but I've heard there's been an increase, perhaps up to 100,000 gallons daily is going into the wastewater plant. So rounding off, I'd say 52, 53 million gallons has been dumped into the lake. You would agree with that?
No.
No. Where am I wrong?
It's been taken to our wastewater treatment plant to be treated and then discharged.
I mischaracterized. Yes, if I say dumped in the lake, I did bypass. It's dumped into the wastewater treatment
Pretty
plant.
significant distinction, though.
I agree. You're not backing up the tanker and dumping a hose in the
Right.
lake.
Treated,
okay.
tested, diluted, discharged. Words matter.
Point taken.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 52, 53 million gallons have been deposited or deposited into the wastewater treatment plant.
For clarification, just for folks, because that's a lot. It's a lot of volume. And I know that when you hear that number, it might sound staggering. But recognize that that's about 2 days capacity of our sewer plant. And this is what we're talking about over the span of over 3 years. And so it can sound like a really scary number, but when you look at percentages, it is a very small percentage of what we take, treat, dilute, discharge. But yes, sir, your numbers, to my understanding, are very accurate.
Okay. And going through the summary sheets, it also appears the city is getting 3 cents a gallon. And over that time period through January 31st, the city has received about $1,510,535.81. That's according to the records from the city, which raises this concern. I also got the contracts between the city and the hauling company, Watco, and in those contracts it said the city is going to get 4 cents a gallon. And also the contracts say if there's going to be a change in anything, it would be amended in writing. So I'm curious about why we're getting 3 cents instead of 4.
You're aware the cost of diesel fuel has gone up almost double in the last 3 or 4 years?
Well, there wasn't any kind of an adjustment in the paperwork. Was it just a gentleman's agreement, I guess?
Yeah, perhaps an oversight not finalizing it. We did take a reduction.
And I didn't get a fourth contract between the city and I believe it was Meadowbrook. That's one down in Tennessee. No, Volunteer Regional. I don't have the contract for Volunteer Regional. I think that's Oneida. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Where our trash goes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. But so the leachate is coming from 4 locations.
Primarily 2. Historically, it's come from 4.
Okay. But Ky in Lincoln County.
That's correct.
Laurel Ridge over in Laurel County.
Yep, London
And
Corridor.
then Athens is Meadowbrook, and
Which
and
we're
then
not
volunteer
we're not
region.
currently receiving from there, and very little from Tennessee.
Well, the report I have shows that it started again in January.
When, as I've said many times, when their evaporator or dehydrator goes down, we will take from them when that equipment's down, but not continually,
Okay.
not routinely. Since I said words matter, let me be more specific. Not routinely.
Okay, and now, this is what I'd like to ask all of the members of council and the mayor. Do any of you not believe that forever chemicals, PFAS and PFOs, are not in the leachate?
Yeah. Let me just say this, and you all do what you want, obviously, but to maintain order, I would suggest that you answer his questions when we have council comments. You know, this is not intended to be a back and forth, or we could be here all night. But if you want to answer now, go ahead. That's your prerogative. But
Well, I'll ask you directly. Do you think there's, I think they're in everything.
Well, me too, which is why I think it's irresponsible to connect leachate to these forever chemicals, because you and I both know that they're in everything. They're in rainwater in Europe. They've been tested in the most beautiful part of America, in Wyoming and Montana, in groundwater. Unfortunately, forever chemicals, we're in absolute agreement.
Okay.
In that forever chemicals are present.
So why should we add those to the lake? Why would you?
They're already in the lake.
Pardon me?
They're already in the lake.
No, they are, but why would you want to compound the problem?
We're not. I believe that there is no more forever chemicals by percentage in leachate than what is naturally occurring in that we're getting into our lake.
I was told to ask who's here about leachate. Raise your hand. I forgot to do that,
Yeah.
Mayor.
I wonder if they got one of the I wonder if they got one of the flyers that suggested we were dumping it straight into the lake.
grammatical errors or spelling issues in there?
Okay. All right. Great. That's good. That's good to know.
This is real important. So everybody listen up, okay?
Okay.
There's a prominent businessman who I can't name, but he knows a lot about insurance. He's a businessman. He's well regarded in this community. And he asked me to convey to you and the council tonight that he's concerned about leachate going into the lake on 3 counts. The first one is the possible liability to the city in the future. He's concerned about claims being brought across the country on negligence in dumping chemicals that cause injury over the long term to people. That was one concern. His second concern was the public health, just the fact that more forever chemicals mean more sickness, more illness, more birth defects. But the third, and he emphasized this, was the effect on tourism in the Lake Cumberland area. Because and these were his words, he said, the mere perception that leachate is contaminating the lake will cause tourists to go somewhere else. And that's an economic effect that will eventually be measurable. I have learned, I think this is fairly accurate, that Pulaski County received about $127 million of business from tourism last year.
Yeah, record year.
And about 2,000 jobs are created by tourists traveling through here. The effect of leachate on the tourism will dampen the enthusiasm to come and use the lake. I'm going to ramp up. I've rented a billboard. I've got yard signs, and I'm going to write all the marinas and contact all the communities and the water associations and let them know what's going on. Because in my experience talking to folks, very few people know what leachate is. Now, I don't make up the definition. I don't wing it, Mayor. I pull it up on Google where you find everything and read it to them. And their response is always, why are we doing that? Yeah. So let me pose that question to you or the council. Why are we dumping leachate through the wastewater treatment facility into the lake?
Yeah. Are you aware that this is how leachate's treated all over Kentucky and all over America?
I know it has to be disposed of.
It doesn't work. This one doesn't clear up the PFAS.
Are you aware that it's treated in Nashville, the fastest growing community in America? Leachate is treated in their wastewater treatment plant.
It has to be disposed of.
Glasgow, hang on. Glasgow, Maysville, Owensboro, Cincinnati, Pikeville, Georgetown, Knoxville, Chattanooga. Does that matter to anybody?
Well,
and we'll comply as we are now. Actually, to that point, To that point, that's interesting. I'm talking. To that point,
You are talking. What are you
have-
talking about?
to that point, we have an EPA report because it is mandated. They asked us, not asked, mandated that all water plants start to test for some of these chemicals now. It was
How many?
asked. It was
6?
asked.
How many chemicals are you testing for?
Dozens, including PFOS, PFOA, PFAS, the ones you're mentioning.
Okay.
All in our water plant at undetected levels. We will continue to test for those every 3 months as mandated by the EPA. And when they give us any new standards, we will continue to follow them as we always have. I'm happy to give anybody a copy of this or email them a copy of this. I've given one to the news.
Before you were mayor, the leachate was not going through the wastewater treatment facility.
That's correct. Before I was mayor, there was a lot of things that weren't happening here.
No, I think it's an economic one. I think, does the city need the money?
We certainly can use the money, sure.
Okay. Based on the 3 cents a gallon, and if you're doing 500,000 a week, I guess that's 26. That's around $7,500, $75,000, close to that. $7,500. But you haven't received that in any year yet.
Pardon?
I'm doing some arithmetic in my head.
Yeah, I don't know that it's accurate, but
It's 780,000 if you did 500,000 a week. But you haven't had that good of a year yet in
Not quite.
leachate. No.
yeah, we're capable of treating it. We're capable of allowing it to come here. Also, our trash goes to the Tennessee landfill. You know, it's been asked, who else should treat our leachate? Is this a problem? So we should punt this problem to someone else's community when our sewer plant's capable of handling it?
Well, I don't know why we.
Yeah. Where does our trash go, Mr. Shoemaker? Well, okay, so you don't know.
But why does we're taking leachate from somewhere else?
The landfill in which our garbage in the city of Somerset ends up.
You still didn't answer why.
Yes, I did, because we're capable and it generates revenue. Fisher Fun Park 2, about a $500,000 project, essentially free because of 1 year's revenue. I mean, to act like the revenue doesn't matter on something we're capable of handling is asinine. While following state EPA standards, which I assume you haven't been in these communities, and I don't know if you talked to the state or not, we're following state guidelines. This is not unique. This is happening in every community.
Correct. You're in violation. You've been in violation.
This happens in every community that is capable of handling leachate. They have a wastewater treatment plant that's capable. They treat it. This is not unique, folks. This is not a unicorn. This is happening in all of those cities I mentioned. Many of them are the few that are growing in Kentucky. This is what's happening.
There's only about 10 there that takes and will process landfill leachate. There's only about 10.
Then those are the ones that have the resources and the infrastructure to handle it like us.
And you have to ask yourself, why aren't other cities taking it?
Because they don't have the
Well, they
facilities that
don't
are
want
capable.
it. They don't want it. This treatment plant you have out here is the old oxidation ditch treatment system. It is nothing but an aerator, a settlement pond, and it has the bugs in it that takes care of the stuff that it was designed and built to do. It's very effective for that, but it will not clean up the concentration of PFAS that is in landfills, in any landfill in the country. And the only way you can get rid of that is by certain processes. Some of the best practices say keep the landfill leachate in place. Leave it at the landfill, treat it there, don't move it. That's some of the best practices.
I would encourage you to lobby the state and Congress, sir.
The other practice, the only way you can get out PFAS out of landfill leachate is to use methods like activated carbon, reverse osmosis. Those things are expensive. The things that you're doing here at this treatment plant isn't doing anything but saturating the PFAS content in Pittman Creek. And this creek, Pittman Creek, cannot tolerate, it cannot handle the longevity of doing this every week. You're going to destroy the creek first, and then you're going to destroy the lake. It's got to happen because you're not taking it out. You're not even testing it. If you're really serious about this, you should test those trucks when they come here and test that truck and see what's actually in that tanker truck.
Yeah.
See what's in it before I would dump that in my citizen.
We do test it.
Waste treatment plant.
We
And
test it.
Also, you do not. I was told that you do not.
Well, you're wrong.
You know,
Look, no, I've done my homework.
Okay.
Okay, I've done some homework on this, and from what I've been told by the people there at the waste treatment plant, that it is not tested. It is not tested. And and where are and it is tested, I've not seen anything indicate that. But your plant will not get it out. It will not remove it. And one thing you said, well, one more thing, I'm gonna sit down, Mayor.
Hey, I actually
You
showed
told-
you,
yeah, just one more point.
I actually showed you those papers when you were at this Proving Creek plant.
Not
And you
not
sat
people.
down,
Not,
you looked at it.
It's okay, Dana.
You did.
I'll talk to him.
One other thing that you're saying that your plant handles, it's 2%, about 2% of landfill leachate makes up your waste content going through that plant. In less than 24 hours, a gallon off of that truck is filtered its way, cycled its way through your treatment plant and out the discharge into Pittman Creek. Less than 24 hours. And you're not getting out PFAS. And you say it's only 2%. How many of us in this room have a pump-up sprayer at home that you use your garden with or you farm with? About 3 gallons. How much pesticide or herbicide goes in that 3-gallon container? How much? A half an ounce? Maybe a spoonful? Oh, it's just 2%.
It's just 2%. Where does that water go after you use it, sir?
Where was what water go in?
After you've treated your plants, where does all that water go? Pesticides?
Right into the ground, and it goes with the.
And then it just goes away?
And then, no, it doesn't. It goes into our water system.
Okay.
Eventually, and that's why, Mayor, they have a liner in a landfill. They have a liner to keep the stuff from getting into our water system. And yet we're trucking it all the way over here. At the best probably person that's benefiting from this the most is Watco. They're making millions of dollars off of this. You're making a $200,000 or maybe $1 million now, and that's the only person here benefiting from this, at the risk of all of us citizens, at the risk of running Lake Cumberland and ruining our economic prosperity in this region. Every city in the state would love to have this lake right there at the back door. Any city in America would like to have that. It is a pristine piece of paradise. That's why I am here. After 40 years, I'm still here. And this is not a city issue. This is a city and county, a community issue. We're all brothers here in this room. We all know each other. We go to the same church, in town, out of town. But we're crapping in our own bed to make a few bucks for you guys. You know, I've talked to Shane Weddle. I've talked to Shane. I don't blame Shane. You know, he's an entrepreneur. I don't blame him. I've known him since he was a kid. But I doubt if his uncle, Junior Weddle, would even agree with what they're doing. You know, to be a good leader, Mayor, and you're a candidate for governor, to be a good leader, you do things for the right reason. And if you do things for the right reason, you will always be successful.
Yeah, I would think that, you know, I see the emotion and the passion. Look, there's a lot of misinformation. I recognize the easy thing for me to do would be to just say no. And here's the thing. If I did that every time that there were a few folks that didn't agree, politically it'd probably be good for me. But I don't think it's the right thing. I don't even think it's close. Listen, I recognize you all have spent some time. You've researched this. You've looked at it. I'm talking to the folks that mandate and regulate the water that we drink every day, that we trust at state government and at the EPA. Why would I not listen to them? Do you want me to answer questions and talk, or you don't? You just want to yell?
You just get out then.
Mayor, can I ask something? Is this?
Mayor, I think you make a lot of decisions on economics. I think if we can bring pressure from the Lake Cumberland area, from marina owners, from communities outside this county, from water associations, from people in the county that drink the water, enough pressure that you feel the pressure from outsiders, not from us.
Unfortunately, it'll be misguided, but yeah,
Well,
the county water districts have to test the water just like we do, by the way.
Well, but they're buying it from you. buying the drinking water from you.
You think they buy contaminated water?
No, but their consumers are going to worry what's in our water.
So-
Leachate, we need to enlighten the public about the consequences of dumping extra leachate in the wastewater treatment facility. And as people cancel their slips at Lee's Ford, as Tony Sloan calls you up and says, what the heck's going on up there? Why are you polluting the lake? Raise the risk, and maybe you'll reconsider your position. That's my intent. I'm going to have billboards, signs. I don't care what I spend. I want the community to know, because everybody I talk to says, why the heck are we dumping leachate into the wastewater system, then into the lake? Mm-hmm. And there has to be some economic pain, because right now it seems to be all profit for those involved. Darlene wants to speak.
I just have a couple questions. How many violations since 2016 to November of 2022 do you think the wastewater treatment plant has received from the state EPA, the State Water District? How many?
You ask all your questions, and I'll answer when you're done.
Oh, go ahead. I asked a question. Go ahead.
No, you have all your comments.
So
and
you
your
don't know
questions.
how many violations you've received?
Well, I wasn't the mayor in 2016, so no, ma'am, I don't.
Okay. Well, since 2019, since you started bringing the leachate in, how many violations do you think?
I don't know offhand.
You don't know? Okay. Dozens and dozens of violations. And here's the thing, folks, that you got to understand. They keep saying they meet state standards. No, they don't. They have received violation after violation after violation for E. coli and other things because your wastewater treatment plant is not working. You are misleading the public. It's not working. I got a stack of violations since 2016, and I didn't ask for them for 2023. It's just simple. If E. coli is getting through this wastewater treatment plant, then so is C8, which is the PFAS. If E. coli is getting through this wastewater treatment plant, then asbestos is. All of these, every one of these landfills that they're taking this from, these are demolition waste landfills. They accept the worst of the worst waste to include asbestos. It says so right on their page. Okay.
Yeah, you said all that back in October when you.
Well,
came.
I think it needs to be restated again. Your treatment plant is not working. You are in violation. And when you say you meet state standards, you do not. The EPA, State EPA, and State Water District has repeatedly given you violations. And these violations are so serious, they threaten that they can fine you $250,000 a day per event. Now, just because they let you get away with it, that doesn't make it right.
Yeah. She says state EPA, state water districts, two things that, by the way, aren't actual agencies or entities. What she means is the Division of Water. But again, I think details matter. But
Neil Shoemaker, I'm here with my wife, Cheryl Shoemaker. I think I know almost all of you. I've known you for years. I've done business with you. I've done work in the city of Somerset for years and years and years. And, when I was growing up, if I went into my dad and I said, Dad, I'm going to do something because somebody else does it. I'm going to jump off this cliff because that guy over there did it. My dad would smack my head. He'd say, what's wrong with you? You just follow people blindly? So to have an excuse that says, it's already in the lake. It's already in your water. It's already in our bodies. It's already there. Forever chemicals. A trace amount, a trace amount, a trace amount. Finally, that trace amount ends up in enough amount to do something significant, okay? So here I am. I'm concerned about this. I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer for many, many years. I've been involved in environmental issues, coal mining issues, construction issues. To think that my friends, people that I trust, people that are in office to protect me and my family would make such a decision is just ludicrous. It just blows my mind. To think that there's already chemicals going in our lake, there's already PFAS in our ground, there's already this carcinogens going in there. So what's wrong with putting just a little more in there? What's wrong with that? That sounds to me like that's the craziest thing in the world. And then to say And then to say, why do you do that? Why would you do that for 3 cents a gallon, for 1.5 million in a few years? You know.
Can I ask you a question?
No, don't. I'm talking. Have you said that? I'm talking.
Yeah. It was a long comma.
Yeah. I'm talking. So when I was at the highway department, my budget was $70 million a year. Okay? I oversaw $700 million in construction projects. And when my boss called and said, Neil, I need you to cut 10% out of your budget. You know what I did? I cut 10% out of my budget. I found it. This amount of money compared to your $100 million budget is minute. To say that the city of Somerset needs this, you're willing to put us and our health and sacrifice us for a little bit of money that I could save if I just cut the budget, if I just found out. So I'm not taking comments. I'm giving comments. I'm giving comments. What I'd like to see tonight is I'd like to see that in new business, one of you all stand up and make a motion to terminate this contract. I'd like to see another one of you. I'd like to see another one of you stand up and second that motion, and then I'd like to see a show of hands. I want to know who in this room thinks that my health, that my wife's health over here, that is maybe died of cancer. I'm just telling you, I want to know which one of you thinks that's worth nothing. Which one of you thinks that's worth 3 cents a gallon? Which one of you? And I want to know that. And I want to put that on public record. Because I want this community to think. We are a close-knit. When I came here in 1977, I came to Somerset because I came from Hazard. I came to a beautiful lake. I came to a community that everybody loves. My wife, diagnosed with cancer, we have had prayers from everybody, and we love it. She's doing good. But that's this community. This community stands together, and we stick together. This Leachate decision makes absolutely no sense. It benefits a few people. It hurts our lake. It hurts our economy, and it's going to destroy it. Did you know that 70,000 people made a comment about Billy the goat? Billy the goat, they killed a goat on the lake, Billy the goat. 70,000 people made a comment about that, okay? Now, what happens when social media, and it's coming, it's rolling, when social media gets a hold of this leachate issue in Lake Cumberland? Social media, if you know about it, it don't have to be true. It don't have to be perfect. Amen. I mean, we watch it all the time on the political spectrum. It don't have to be new. It don't have to be true. But what happens when this starts rolling down our path? What happens when people start looking at Somerset as increased cancer rate, and what about, the leaders down there just don't care. They're not worried about it one bit. It's got the potential to not only destroy the health of our friends. Before my wife got cancer, I didn't talk about cancer. You know why? Because you don't get in a group of people and talk about cancer. You talk about what UK did, how the basketball team goes. You don't. But I tell you what, when you're in Somerset, Kentucky, in the Lake Cumberland region, and that, if you say the word cancer, you better be ready, buddy, because it's going to be my brother, my cousin, my mother. Now I'm not saying I don't know what causes that cancer. I don't know what causes that cancer, but I do know that there's carcinogens in this waste that's coming into our lake. And if we know that there's stuff in there, I mean, it is. If we know that it's in there, then why would we want more? We can deal with our own waste. You know, you mentioned right off the bat about a evaporator. You know, there's other ways to get rid of leachate. You know, landfills create methane. You can take the methane, create a evaporator, and evaporate your leachate. It don't have to come to Lake Cumberland. It's just a money-making thing for a few people. But I'm asking that we come to some common sense, and you see, I mean, I'm retired. The last thing in the world I want to do is come to city council. I'm not even a Somerset citizen. I'm a Pulaski County citizen. I don't want to be here, but I'm concerned about my community. I'm concerned about my family. I'm concerned about the people I go to church with. I'm concerned about my wife. One of the things, and it's crazy, just out of the blue. My wife hadn't been to a doctor in 27 years. You know why? Because she's healthy. She hadn't taken a prescription drug in her life. Never. You know why? Because she's healthy. She concentrated on her health. She exercised. You know what my wife did religiously? She drank 6 or 8 glasses of water from that tap. Now, I'm not saying that's what caused it. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying, what if? What if you had the power? What if you had the power to stop one little drop of that? One drop going right. What if you could just tonight raise your hand and say, stop the contract, it's not worth it, and that's what I ask you to do? But what if you had that power? What if you go home tonight and God forbid that your wife wakes up with cancer? What if you do that? I'm going to pray for you. That's what I'm going to do. And we've had so much prayers. But tonight, I think we need to bring it to a head. Somebody make a motion. Somebody make a second. Vote for this. Get rid of it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Ashley Homrich, and I'm actually going to take a little bit different of what was just said, but I hope that it's not left with feeling like I'm on any side. With that, I just want to thank the people at the water treatment center. I know that their jobs definitely probably feel on trial, and so I just want to thank the people of the city that show up and work every day. I also would be curious, and this doesn't have to be answered tonight, because I feel that this topic does seem to be a complex one, and I'm definitely not an expert in it. But I'm curious to hear from the city what would be felt as a common ground or some steps to move forward together as a community. I know that it was mentioned as far as lobbying at the state level, and that definitely seems like an option and a place that a lot of these things are more to be approached at, but I'm just curious to learn about that.
Well, what I was going to mention earlier was data. I think can we come to an agreement to test it, test the lake before leachate ever hits it, test treated leachate as it goes into Pittman Creek and see. And here's what my word would be, is if we are producing, because right now with the EPA, what we're told is that what we discharge into Pittman Creek is water quality improvement. It's cleaner than the creek. But if I'm wrong and they're wrong and we test it, independent, we can send it off and test it. If there are more forever chemicals in our treated mix, the 2 to 3%, then we'll stop. We quit taking it. Well, so you don't want data. He doesn't want data. Well, that'll be up to the council. I don't know why we would argue with information and data. Mr. McShirley has also mentioned, he acknowledges, I think Darlene that these forever chemicals are everywhere. They're in the leggings that we wear. By the way, they're in sparkling water. They're in mascara. They're in when you wash your clothes. These things naturally occur. When you flush a commode, when you do a load of laundry, it ends up in our sewer plant. When somebody has a septic system that also ends up in our sewer plant, these forever chemicals are in all of it. And so then why would we not, ma'am, if you want to talk, address the microphone, please. I don't know how we could argue with data.
My name is Karen Strand, and DuPont phased out a whole bunch of those chemicals that are no longer in our household, in our day-to-day living. But all those chemicals, and that's why they're called forever chemicals, are still in the leachate, in these industrial dumps. This is a whole different class.
No, it's not. In our pizza boxes, in our candy, in our fast food wrappers.
In the Teflon that used to, when people used to cook on it, if they had birds in the kitchen, the birds would die. Those have been phased out.
You
but they're in the leachate.
Okay.
Okay.
But that stuff's not all gone.
No, it's not gone.
It's in our kitchen right now. I cook with it every night.
Okay, and it's causing kidney cancer and testicle cancer and birth defects. So I don't understand the point of adding more.
My
You know,
point is,
this reminds me
if
of the
there's
Twilight.
less, then
Do you
we're not
remember-
adding more.
Do you remember the Twilight Zone episode called Button Button, where this woman got a button,
No, ma'am.
a box with
I
a
don't
button
watch
in it?
cartoons.
And she was told that if she pressed that button, she gets $200,000. But the only caveat was that somebody she does not know will die. Every added 1,000,000 gallons of leachate you're putting in, you're pressing that button, and all we're asking you to do is just stop.
Yeah. So that's my answer to your question. That's what I would propose. I think it's absolutely the most fair and reasonable. But does any other one in the audience have a comment, or we're going to move on to the business portion of our agenda?
Mayor and council, I apologize for my outburst there. I guess I didn't formally introduce myself. I'm David Keller. I've lived here for 40 years. Had no intentions of staying in Pulaski County. I got transferred here by the federal government and begged to live in Somerset, which I'm really glad they allowed me to do that, because it's just been a great community. The lake has been a big drawing card for my family. We are devoted to the lake. We drink the water that you provide for us. We're very concerned about this issue. I know this is old business for a lot of you. You've heard about, you've went over this in October, and quite frankly, to tell you how ignorant I was, and I'm a biology major in college, chemistry minor, and a degree in also in animal science. I was going to be a veterinarian. And so I actually almost started to go into the environmental science because it fascinated me. And so anyway, when I first heard about this 3 months ago, and what's fascinating to me is how many people in Pulaski County do not know that the city is doing this. Almost everyone I talked to and talked about it have never heard that. They don't even know what I'm talking about. And just this morning, my eye doctor, I had a chance just to mention it to him. He never heard of it. You know, he sits in a house and overlooks the lake. Never heard of it. But that's to the common rather than the uncommon. So it's new business to a lot of us because we're just now hearing about it. And when I heard about it, I had heard about Darlene Price in the paper with a podcast or something last summer, and I heard him talking about a sinking creek and the fact that she was from McCreary County. And so I tell you how ignorant I was, and you think this is funny. I got online, I got a McCreary County map, and I looked for sinking creek all over McCreary County, and I could not find a sinking creek because I thought she was talking about a creek named Sinking Creek somewhere in McCreary County that was getting polluted. And so, and I think how that was just my take that last summer, but then when I actually found out what was going on, I was just blown away. I just couldn't believe that the city would do something like take on a processing leachate from 4 different landfills, one in Tennessee. And prior to the city getting involved with taking this leachate, that leachate went to Louisville. All that leachate and the plants the landfills that you're currently getting it from went to Louisville. And I suspect that it was taken to Louisville, and it was a monopoly. Somebody had a monopoly on that, and they were taking it to Louisville for years. And there they were running it through probably a treatment plant very much like yours, ours here, very much the same way. That's pretty much, they exist everywhere. And they're very effective for what they're designed to do. They're very effective. But all that was taken to Louisville, and I'm sure dumped into Ohio River. And to me, dumping in Ohio River is a much safer place than dumping it through the process, through the plant, and letting it go into a pristine body of water like Lake Cumberland. It's just unimaginable. And so I furthered my research, and I'm pretty good at digging. And that's what I've done most of my life, at digging investigations and stuff like that. But I tried to approach this totally objectively. It's not anything about politics. It's nothing about you, Mayor, or the past mayor, or any politics involved whatsoever. I'm just trying to look at it extremely objective. I've vetted all my sources. one of my sources that I researched to try to find out about landfill leachate, and you have to make a distinction, Mayor. Leachate is everywhere, but we're specifically talking about landfill leachate. It has a matrix of chemicals that are very concerning. EPA will tell you that. Anybody that has any background in this will tell you that. It's extremely concerning. One of my sources that I used was a publication, like a medical journal, but this is called, it's called, bear with me a minute, Waste Dive. Waste Dive is like a medical journal to doctors, but it is an industry place where all these studies, all this input from EPA, all these laws, all across America compiles a lot of data and a lot of information. So you have to be careful when you do go online and go on the internet and try to figure out what's true and what isn't true. I try to get my sources directly as possible, and one of them was that particular publication, and it's free. You can go online, and as the councilman and as a mayor, even the county judge executive should be subscribed to that because it's very knowledgeable. It's got the latest EPA updates and stuff. The EPA right now is currently making a recommendation, and they hope to have it enacted before the end of the year, to require that the PFAS be, it is right now, the recommended safety amount is somewhere around 70 parts per trillion. Per trillion, not million. EPA is recommending that it go down to 4, going from 70 to 4, because they finally are realizing how serious PFAS is. Now, this is not a Somerset and Pulaski County issue. Even Shane Weddle told me, the owner of Watco, this is a society problem. It is a society problem all across America because we're just now realizing from the research and from our experts out there that this is dangerous stuff. Dangerous stuff. And so we have to look at this totally different. Landfill leachate is not your regular leachate. And so the other sources that I tried to do, I went to the waste treatment plant, talked to the people out there. They're doing a great job with what the plant is designed to do. I even went so far and talked to the engineer that helped build that plant, just to try to get my facts right, just to see what the plant's capable of doing and so forth, and learned a whole lot about it. And what I didn't learn about it the most, and what really strikes me is interesting, is how much research, how much knowledge. It's a science. It's a science today. Waste management is a science. When you think of waste management back when I was maybe a kid, you thought about garbage truck and maybe somebody running a bulldozer to landfill, but it's much more than that. There is so much science behind it. And gentlemen, we can't ignore the science to where it's leading us today. There's trouble all over America. There is polluted water, drinking water in cities. There's polluted farmlands just because of PFAS. And it's really, really alarming. And I think for the risk that you're taking, it should never be done for that kind of money. And if you do continue this, you really ought to really renegotiate, because Watco is making 30 cents a gallon, that's what the contracts say. The city contracts that we got through open record says you're making 30 cents a gallon. And if you calculate and do the math, you're talking millions and millions of dollars. And that's just not right. You guys got a raw deal. That's all you're going to make is 3 cents a gallon. But anyway, you shouldn't even be doing that. And again, I ask you one last thing, is please make your decisions and make your decisions based on doing the right thing. The right thing. And this is not the right thing. And
All right, we'll move on to the business part of the agenda. Item number 8, Mr. Adams.
Okay. We got our annual fair housing.
Mr. Dalton.
I'm good. I'm good.
Mr. Eason.
I'd like to say one thing. Based on what information we're hearing tonight from this audience versus the information we received from Frankfurt Division of Water, particularly, that we need to think along the lines of maybe suspending, not terminating the Leachate project. Just until maybe we can have some public forums, where we can have a little more controlled environment, and a little more, if anyone else has ideas and so forth, and even have Division of Water people down, and let the public hear what we heard. You know, believe it or not, we're not going into this blind, and I don't know about who's making what kind of money. It's not about the money with me. We do have an issue here, and I understand that, but I think we need a little bit of time, and I sympathize with all the above. That's just my opinion on the deal. The council might want to talk it over among themselves a little bit first, and you might have to give us a little time. I don't think it'd be the fair or right thing to do to try to cram something in tonight. I think we all need a little bit more information. I know at this point, it's almost like we might not be believing everything we're hearing, and I know y'all aren't believing everything you're hearing. So I think maybe there is some things we can do, and I don't really know what. But there's got to be something. There's got to be an answer, because there is a lot of people concerned about this. There is a lot of people I talk to that are okay with it. That's what's the hard part. Still, decisions have to be made, and I think we need to take our time, get people in here in a forum setting. In my mind, it might be called something else. I don't know. But I think we can move towards something in that respect, and at least get something that is not. I'm not saying you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not trying to say that. I might rather say I might not know what I'm talking about. But just by what I'm hearing, I don't think neither side knows enough. I do know, and I've been doing some research too, that these PFAS is not a local problem, and it's not a USA problem. It's an international problem that nobody knows what to do with yet. So if we don't know what to do with it, how are we going to do anything with it? That's the question. But okay, there's another thing. And in my research, I found out that in a sense of the word, the leachate issue and the PFAS issue is two different issues.
Yep.
So I'm receiving that information. That's why I think that we need to get into a setting where we can have, if you wanted to refer to them as experts, maybe you don't look at them as experts, but the people in Frankfurt that are in the position to be in the know, to relay what they know to us. Now, they have to us. We've had them down here. We've been in meetings with them, but you all haven't. You haven't had the opportunity, if you want to call it an opportunity, to hear what we've heard. The sad part is, we're hearing, or I'll speak for myself right here, I'm hearing one thing from them and a lot of other things from this audience. So therefore, I'm kind of torn. I'll just be honest with you. But that doesn't mean I'm not concerned. I'm as concerned as the next person. So I do recommend what I just went over, that we think seriously about suspending this project until we can get to the bottom of some things. Thank you.
Mr. Gardner?
No, sir, I don't have anything.
Rob?
I've got two things. First, I want to thank everybody that reached out to me on both sides of this issue. This is not an issue that I've taken lightly. I've done studies on it. I don't understand one thing that has been confused to me, that the 3 times that this group has come, or not this group, but part of the group has come, has been 2 or 3 weeks before an election. And to me, that overshadows. Now, ma'am, did I not give you all a chance to speak? Did I comment on anybody's comment? Did I make any comments, negative or positive, as anybody spoke? I did not, did I? Let me finish, okay? I respected you, and I asked that you respect what I'm saying. I've read more about leachate in the last 3 days than I probably studied on anything. I pulled reports. I went to the city and pulled reports. I pulled reports offline from reputable companies talking about leachate. What is leachate? How is it treated? I've read since Mr. McShirley came and said he had tested his water, and he was amazed that everything tested good when he sent it out to an independent contractor. Sure. Right, but I'm saying, since then, I've started doing studies, reading and as well. I'm torn on this at this point. I know it's a concern, and the only way I can do my job is if you good folks reach out and speak, and call me and email me, text me, whatever you do. Back on another issue, there's a lady here that comes all the time that I spoke on some social issues on, and I value her opinion highly. It enlightened me on some things, and I've thanked her in the past, and I thank her again right here. But on this issue, again, let's put the political thing aside. If some of y'all have that issue, then that's your issue. The rest of you that have concerns, I hear you. My suggestion tonight was going to be the same as Mr. Easom's. Just so happened he went before I did. I think we should have a public forum because I think both sides have had some miscommunications here. I think we should, even if it's stopped, I think we should at least know the facts on all issues. So some of the fears that might be created by mass hysteria is put to rest. So let's have an open forum. Let's have it in a neutral location, not a city council meeting or here at this facility. Let's do it across at Farmers Market. Let's have it somewhere offsite, and let's have a neutral moderator, and let's hear from both sides. And then me, as a representative of you, can represent the city as a whole and come to a informed decision. So I think from what was said by Mr. Easom is a very good idea. Fisher fun part. If you've not been by there's been a lot of progress going on in the last few weeks. There's a lot of concrete work, electrical work, security work. The forms are up for the splash pad. The outline for the sand volleyball court's up. If you can get in there, because of the parking being completely full at times, you need to stop by and look at it because it has been an outreach for our youth in that area. And not only youth, families are there and enjoying, and I'll be glad when it gets completely finished. The bathroom facility is up and they're plumbing it in, and it's going to be an excellent facility. And the lights for security is going up, so it's going to be an excellent facility when it's completely finished.
Awesome.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Minton.
Mayor, I've probably been your biggest opponent against this leachate. And I'm still against it. And I thought about making a motion to stop it, but we've got two missing. And I think all of us ought to have to face this, let the people know how we feel about it. But I'm going to ask you personally, and I'd like for each council person to come out, either ask you to stop it, or if they're for it, let these people know. We took an oath when we sworn in to take care of our city, take care of our people. Most of these people probably don't even live in the city, but we furnish water to about 120,000 people. Lincoln County, we furnish, but I'm not worried too much about the water. And this test, I guess, that you had done was drinking water, right?
Correct. EPA mandated. I didn't have it done.
I'm not too worried because we got a great water plant and probably one of the best in the state. But what's going in the Pittman Creek into Lake Cumberland bothers me a lot. I lay awake at night. I've got a family member right now with cancer, bad. I know this didn't cause it. We've not been doing it long enough.
I appreciate you saying that.
But,
and I'm sorry,
I honestly believe if we don't stop this, these people's mine, I've got a grandkid, I've got a daughter. I honestly believe from what I have read, and I have talked to the Division of Water, I would say at least 6 or 7 times. And they tell me, stop this. And I say, why can't you stop it? And I asked them, I said, you're the Division of Water. Why? And you know what they tell me? Well, the EPA is lenient now. Used to, and I live on Sinking Creek. And I can remember when Somerset Oil was down there, if somebody seen just a little film oil on top of that water and reported it, they would be down there. they would be up to the refinery on them. But the people I'm talking to at the Division of Water said it's about, they just, for some reason or other, they don't push it. But these people are trained. They've tested the waters. I'd say they've been down there by my house at least 15 times last year. And they showed me some of the stuff. There's arsenic in Sinking Creek. There's lead in Sinking Creek. And I'm not saying it came from that. I don't know. And it's what I don't know that bothers me. And we're letting this happen. And these forever chemicals, they never go away. They're in the lake from here on out. And what we've done already, we can't do anything about. But I'm asking you, as a friend, as a partner in the city of Somerset, let's stop this. You know, we've all read about it, we've heard about it, and I don't see any good in it for the amount of money that we're making. One hospital bill could cover what we make in a year. And we don't know. You look at Leachate, read about it. It doesn't say it may cause cancer. It says it does cause cancer and other illnesses. And I have looked some of these landfills up that we're hauling it from. They take toxic waste. They're a toxic waste landfill. They do take asbestos. It's in their guidelines. Sure. You can read it. And, you know, I know we've got those chemicals in here, but when you're hauling it in 15 tanker truckloads a day, that's more than probably what we would use in our city and all of our businesses in probably a year.
Well, no, it's definitely.
I'm talking about leachate. No, not just everyday sewage and this and that, but, you know, you run for mayor or run for governor, and I'll be honest with you, the only reason I wouldn't vote for you is because of this, and I'm telling you the truth.
I respect
and you know
that.
how I feel about it. I've listened to you, and no, I don't agree with everything you've done here at the city, but you've done a heck of a job. You're a very hard worker, but I honestly believe this right here is going to hurt you more than you realize. And I understand, you know, you made commitments, I guess, or whatever, but you know, me as a council person, I've been on here 30 years, and this council didn't vote to do that. We weren't asked to vote to do it. You talked about it one time up here, and when you brought it up about it, we got a potential of making some money, and I didn't even know we were hauling it. I'd been seeing those trucks, but I honestly thought they were hauling stuff to the land farm until Darlene come out with that about Sinking Creek, and somebody called me. I honestly didn't even know we were doing it. But I'm asking you tonight, stop it, and I'd like for each council person that's against this to ask the mayor tonight. And I'd like for our local paper to make this headlines tomorrow, because it's headlines material. Don't put it on the back page. I can't go nowhere that I'm not jumped about this. And I can honestly say I've not had one person. I've had some of the council people that don't see nothing wrong, but everybody's, you know, to their right. They see it different than me. But far as anybody I run into, everybody, why aren't you all stopping this? I've not had nobody say, well, I don't see a problem with it. And I guess that's all I get, but people don't give up.
Well, Mayor, you know I've been against it since day one, and I'll be willing to make the motion tonight to stop it, but I know there wouldn't be enough votes to vote it in, so, but I'm definitely against it, and I'd really appreciate if you'd really consider it and stop it, and let's do something else. Like Neil said, there's ways of cutting the budget to save that kind of money somewhere else in this budget.
Sure.
But, I'd just like to see it stop, and I'm just asking you personally myself, so.
All right. Thank you.
That's it.
Well, there's a little bit of.
I didn't vote, I voted against the budget this past year, and you remember just because of this. And, I've never liked it, and I think our community deserves better. But it passed, and when it passed, we went on with business. Now, I just, I think if we could stop it, it'd be a blessing to our city.
Do y'all want to do a forum? Do you want to get data? Bring in experts and let them share with the community?
Make a motion. Make a motion.
Make the motion.
I'll make this commitment pending what you want to just, if you make a motion, obviously that's up to you. But we don't have two of them here. To have a public forum, to have experts from the EPA, to test, and we're already working on this, but to test the lake, test our affluent, and bring you all the information, and if at that point the council decides to stop it, then that's what we'll do. And I'll support the will of the council, and we'll move on. Yeah. Of course, well, you need a motion for that or a motion to adjourn?
Just to see who's for it and against it, I'll make the motion that we stop it right now.
I'll second that.
He can make a motion.
Our attorney's going to talk.
Councilman Mitchell, so what will, just to give it some form, you're making a motion for a resolution to stop taking leachate.
Just to abandon.
Okay, just a thing, because we don't have anything prepared or read, but thing, and so proceed to.
I just
And the idea is you're just polling the group right now.
Oh, actually, I've definitely.
He made a motion to stop it.
Wait, please, one at a time.
I just want to stop
Right,
it.
it's a motion to express to stop it or not.
To stop
Okay.
it. And
But
that way
you understand,
it's up
it's
to
not
the
an ordinance, it's a resolution by the council.
I don't understand. In other words,
We didn't pass an ordinance to start it.
no, we didn't. Oh, see, we didn't.
Okay. So it's a resolution to end processing leachate.
did.
Resolution.
Just a motion to stop
And then it was, and then it was. I was trying to answer, and then it was in the budget, so it was approved by the council. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a motion for a resolution. We've got a motion for a resolution. Is there a second?
Yeah, John Ricky.
Okay. Okay, let's have a vote.
Now, wait a minute, is it not open for discussion?
Yes.
You can discuss.
Then once again, I don't care to vote, but I still think we need a public forum, because I think there's been some, I'm not finished, wait, just a minute, I'm not, Mike, just a minute, I'm not finished, okay? I'll let you speak, now let me speak, please, that's all I ask. We can vote, I don't have a problem with that, I just said that to begin with, and if we stop, I'm not done. Mike, I'm not done, okay?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 guys.
I'm not done. Have I spoke? You don't even know what I'm going to say. I'm not done. No, you don't, because I'm not said it. Now, even when we vote, and if we vote to stop it, that's fine. I still want to have a public hearing just to put to rest any concerns the citizens have on this issue. And if they want to come, I did. You're not listening. I'm not finished, Mike. I just said why I want to have the public forum. There's some people out there that all this, you don't, but there's people that have called me that are citizens of Somerset that have asked, what's going on? Explain it to me. And I explain it to them. Now, here's the point. We can vote tonight. I have no problem with that. The motion's been made. We're going to vote. regardless, excuse me, is the word, not irregardless, correcting myself, we still need a public forum to put to rest the people's concerns of the confusion that's being created on both sides. And let them know.
Okay, put that people's concerns that somebody makes a decision to take it and don't, you guys get a contract.
I understand.
You get a contract to somebody making millions of dollars, you don't even know about it.
Yeah. We knew the money was coming in, but other
We
things,
know about
we're
it.
not
We
done.
know
We knew.
about it, Mike.
All this,
You're all off base,
wait a minute,
Mike. We know
all
about
this
it.
has been brought out, all this information that's been fed through has been brought out after the fact. That's why I said earlier, I agree with the public forum to make an informed decision on how to vote. I'll vote tonight, and that's not a concern, because that's what I'm put here to do.
Here's one thing you need
But
to
we
look
still
at.
need to have that forum just to put everybody's high-level anxiety to rest.
If you have
Because
the
it's,
forum, are you saying that if you have the forum, that they tell us something that law wants us to hear, that mayor wants us to hear, it's gonna go right back in, or are you all?
no, wait a minute, Barb. Okay, and that's a good question. I didn't say anything about what the mayor wants you to hear. So don't put those words in my mouth, okay? Because I'm not up here to say, because there's people out there that have no idea what you're all talking about. Nor do they have no idea what even a PFO or SO, whatever it is, or Forever Chemicals. They haven't. I've got it written down here, but I've got all the lists. There's all kinds of them.
He's saying people might not.
People might not know that. I've got all the list of it. I've researched them. There's all kinds of those chemicals. I don't know. Maybe nothing. I just think it will settle a lot of people's questions down and put them to ease that some people will think we're killing them. We're not killing them, you know, but that's what's coming out. We don't know long term. You're right. You're exactly right. We just need to have that forum, let this group speak if they want to speak. Let our water director speak, let the state speak, and go from there. That might give the avenue of other people a way to go to get it done, not just our way, but statewide. It may give people that avenue. I'm not saying it's going to change anything, and I'm not saying having the forum to change anything, but it's time it's done in a public forum setting with a neutral person to oversee it, neutral moderator, and let's discuss it there so everyone can come. I assume from the show of hands that just about everyone in here was opposed to it. That's great, because there could be people that aren't opposed to it that aren't here to state their view. Let's just get everybody together and discuss it and settle it once and for all. This is the third time it's come up. Let's just settle it. Well, we can vote on this, but I still would like to see a public forum.
Let me add something right there about the vote. We all know what a vote does. It can go either way, right? All right. I don't know how everybody feels in here. I've got an idea. I know how I feel. And John, Ricky, and Jim have made it public what they feel. But now when this vote is taken and it goes the way you don't want it to go, then where are we at? No. With this forum we keep mentioning, we can get these things aired out, get settled in a setting besides this where everybody's starting to holler now, and get some information that we can all believe in and go from there. And like I said a while ago, this might take a little time, and I'm talking about a very little. I'm not talking about a long, drawn-out thing whatsoever. I'm not in favor of that. But I do think we owe it to everybody, even ourselves, to get some questions answered that aren't answered, because everybody's not believing what I say. I know that. And I might not be believing what all everybody else is saying. We don't know that yet. But once this vote is cast, then it's over. You have to understand that. Yeah. Yeah, as far as council's concerned, it is.
We're procedurally, you can't. We're in the middle of we've had a motion in a second.
But I just said that to say that.
I'm sorry, sir.
These
I
votes
didn't
can
mean
go
to be rude.
how we don't want them to go. We all know that. We've all voted all of our lives. I just wanted to throw that out.
Other comments or discussion? Other comments or discussion? Mr. Gotzi.
Oh.
No?
Oh, yeah.
Well, any other? Did you have a comment?
No, sir.
I'm sorry. Everybody good?
Is this gentleman allowed to comment?
No.
Okay.
So you mean call roll?
Yes, please.
Mr. Gotzi.
Aye.
Mr. Tom Easom.
Aye.
Mr. Burdine.
Aye.
Mr. Dalton.
Aye.
Mr. Wilton.
How we vote?
Stop it.
To approve the
This is
resolution.
to suspend.
Stop it, Jerry.
This is stop it.
To stop it.
Stop it, yes.
Jimmy Easom.
Aye.
Mr. Girdler.
Aye.
Mr. Daugherty.
Aye.
Mr. Minton.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
All right, thank you all.
Now, Mayor, is it,
Thank you all. Thank you.
is it proper to us to have a resolution to have a forum, or can you just do that?
We can just do it. We don't need a resolution for one.
Mayor, you are sending a message to the country that the paper should pick up. The city of Somerset is doing something a little bit out of the box, but it's the will of the people being exercised. And this is for your political future also. Listening to the people counts. It counts everywhere.
I'm gonna adjourn, Mayor.
Go ahead. No, I'm not done.
He's not done yet.
Well, you can make a motion to adjourn.
I just did.
Oh, you did? Okay. Is there a second?
I say let you talk.
Here's the thing. Obviously, we'll express the wishes of the council. I always have encouraged engaged, active citizens. I answer phone calls. I take every meeting. I want to hear from folks. I've always been that way. You know, I know it's easy to sit in a crowd and say, do what the people say. 50 of us here, do what they say. And tonight the council did. And I respect that. They're elected to do that. You understand, though, that we also have to have caution in that, because I've had 50 times 50 against certain things that we've done that the majority of the community wanted. Horse Soldier Bourbon, for an example, a farmer's market, the Virginia Theater, festivals. I can assure you there were far more than 50 people against it. So please don't ever take it that perhaps just because you don't feel like you're getting your way, that we're not listening, that we don't care, that we don't want your input. That's not the case. I'm glad you're here tonight. Do I wish that many of you would have reached out prior? Sure I do. Do I wish that the information that was handed out was accurate and not deceptive? Sure I do. But at the end of the day, people make decisions, and I'm going to support that. I'm going to honor it. I have 3 kids. Which is also not true. It's not true at all. It was discussed in budget workshops. None of you were here. None of you have been here. It's not true.
Yeah, we knew it.
We knew it.
We said we didn't
It's not
know.
true. It was discussed. It was printed. Well, then they weren't listening.
We said we didn't know about all the facts of this.
But nonetheless, to assume for a couple things, the innuendo that I don't care about people's health is one of the most insulting things I've ever endured in this office. When my own family's born and raised here, my entire family lives here, I would never in a million years do anything to jeopardize them or their health or any of your all's. So I want that to be known. The other thing is, look, I love this job. I love getting to serve it. I'm going to continue to. I'm going to walk through the doors of City Hall really proudly tomorrow to get to continue to lead and serve this community, to produce historic tourism, historic economic development, and the historic progress that we've had. I hope y'all stay involved. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
We've got a first one.